So there was this college located in Rhode Island, and a professor read. He had a young son that he would bring to the class sometimes, and there were six students in the class, varying from age 19 to age, I'd say, 70. And the oldest was a man who had a cat, and the cat gave birth to kittens, and he went into the professor was asking him one day about some poems he was supposed to write a dissertation about. And instead, this old elderly guy who wore suits without ties, and back then you could smoke a glass, he smoked a pipe. I don't know if I should say it, but anyway, so goes on about this long story about how his cat had kittens the night before. After the professor asks him about a certain poet he'd read, he tells him about the cat having kittens, and he stayed up all night watching over the cat, and feeding it and keeping the cat warm, and the next day the cat had kittens. And he comes in, and this is nothing about what he was supposed to read or anything, and he just talks about the cat having the babies, and that was what he talked about. And there was a housewife who would go there too, a very nice lady, very sweet, nice lady, and she would write poems about family life. And then there was a Vietnam veteran who came back from the war, very haunted and struggling and everything. And he would talk to the youngest person there, who had been raised between a cattle field and a cornfield. And sometimes they would go to Thayer Street or someplace, I guess sorry to the names of streets and stuff like that, or a town someplace, and you go to the restaurants and try to pick up some ladies somewhere at a restaurant or something like that, or at the Providence College. I guess that's all right. That's it. I'll tell a story, but I don't know if people. Well, anyway, it was at Providence College. I'll tell a part of my life. I was going to make a story out of it, but I'll just tell what happened. So I just so the Vietnam veteran would tell me about Lawrence Ferlinghetti all the time. He thought he was the greatest poet who ever lived, and we were at this lady, beautiful lady, was reading poetry, and they were serving cheese and wine at the college. And she was reading, and she was imagining football players, and she was toasting them on the rump as they were going by and celebrating them winning the game. And the lady was reading her poems, and afterwards he said something about her. He said she was doing something when she was reading the poetry. I didn't see it at all. I thought she was a nice lady. He said she was, well, never mind. I didn't see her doing that at all. I thought she was nice. She was reading the poetry. He said, so, but she was very pretty, and the Vietnam vet says to me, well, let's go to, there was this bar that they used to go to, and it was a watering hole in Providence, and there was this old, like, not an amateur psychiatrist, but a bartender who ran the place, and he would talk to us and everybody there. They had a pool table, he played pool, and we'd go there after class every week. And then there was a guy that nobody could stand in the class because his poetry was lousy. It was terrible. And he said what a wonderful thing capital punishment was. And at that time, nobody agreed with that. And, I don't agree with that, but some people do. Back then, yeah, he would. So he said he strongly believes in an eye for an eye. And it's just, he had the name of and then the professor was he wore tweed jackets and so he wore tweed jackets and a hat, sort of Sherlock Holmes-ish, but not quite, not as much as the doctor when I qualify. And so he came in, and a few times he brought his little son with him, and he would teach us, and he looked at, his son was very well behaved, everybody loved him, and he was a good kid. He was about probably 2 or 3 years old, and he brought him once or twice, and then there was we used to go to Thayer Street sometimes too after class, but usually we went to that small bar in Paris. One time we went to another place, and there was this lady and this see you tomorrow. There was a lady and a guy in there. And the guy that used to was the Vietnam veteran. All of a sudden, he would have an English accent out of nowhere. He would have an English accent, and it came upon him all of a sudden. So we're all at this lady, this guy is at the bar, and she was. And they were talking, and they said, "Well, let's go in back," and so to have something to sing a Tom Petty song. So in the back, I imbibed, but I didn't like it back then because I was probably at that point schizophrenic. Is my reaction. No, I didn't. That's right. I passed. And the Vietnam vet did, but he was he didn't want to. He just did, and he was trying to entertain the lady, and then I would go. That was when I was living at home, and they were all characters. And there was another guy who, I don't know how to talk about this, but he had brain tumors, and something he said made us all very worried, very worried. Very worried. And, so I was gonna make a weekly series out of this. It would make a good weekly series, but I did mention Providence College, and then they kind of it makes it too autobiographical. So I don't know. I could think of another thing. The poetry readings at Barrington College. I could make a weekly story series out of that. And we used to go to the guy's house. Went there once or twice, and I was going out with a girl who, to be perfectly honest with, I wasn't attracted to. She was a very nice girl, but she wasn't good looking. So when I was with her, she was a very nice girl, but she wasn't my type. So we go to the guy's poetry reading after we met him at his house, being the African race guy, and all these odd, vibrant strange characters were there. Plus a lot of college kids and high school kids. But there were, besides them, there was all these strange characters. And it was my cup of tea, I thought. And I said, these characters, oddball characters. He said, why don't you both come over with us later and we'll have a party? And his friends and everything, and they were all friends, I think, of Gary Snyder, the guy who talks a lot about the Japanese haikus and Native Americans. And he's a brilliant writer. And so, come over with us. We'll have fun. No, she says. Yes, let's go. No. And at that time, I was having a lot of. I was at 300 milligrams of Mellow, and I lost my fishing license, my driving license, every license I had, and I was out to here, and I going nowhere. I was living, to say the least. This was later. Yes, this was years later. This was around 1987. At that time, I was not even existing. 1987. Before then, when I was at the college, I was full of life. But 1987, I wasn't there. I just was not there. I don't know what was there. Nothing. That's life on Melville. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. 265 pounds. Not a drop of art or any type of thought process in me whatsoever. Been a totally mechanical robot. Slept 16, 18 hours a day. Ate, slept. That's when I met the greatest actor I ever lived. Nothing. I was waking up, going to bed. Nothing. There was nothing. Absolutely nothing for 15 years. And the doctor said to me, well, you need this. You need this. Because if you're going to keep on thinking people are talking about you, which they were talking about me, and you're not going to, you better take this because it's going to go hard for you if you don't. And nothing for years and years, just absolutely nothing. And for that guy, that's what he took from me, 50. Well, I took it for myself, really. He didn't take it from me, but I don't know where I could have gone. I don't know what I could have done or where I could have gone. There was no place I could have done, nothing I could have done, and no place I could have gone. Absolutely no place. So, it was just nothing. Nothing. Strange existence. When you're put here on this earth to do something and they rob you of it, they take it away from you, totally rob you of it in every way. And that's, they tell you what's good for you, totally destroy you in every way possible. That's really, so,